Welcome to the show. Creative Universe Checkpoint Earth presents Union News, Unschooling Twin Flames. The real twin flame work happens on the inside, and then it will guaranteed manifest outside. In this series of lives, I share about what that means for my union consciousness process to inspire you to find yours. It serves as the source for your daily twin flame news. Today on the show, we have unschooling twin flames because, as you may know, I finally started the school. After 1.5 decades of preparation, secretly 3 decades of preparation, maybe you could even say 4 or lifetimes, I opened the school. And that was awesome. And that just happened recently, actually, still. It was this summer in 2025, and this is a proud moment for me. But even though the school is open, and it's definitely for twin flames because they will go to their harmonious twin flame union through it, and that's what it's all about. Even though the school is open, it is actually still a good question to ask yourself. Can twin flames be schooled? And here's the answer. No, they can't be schooled. But what they can be is unschooled. So that's why we're going to talk about what that means. Unschooling for twin flames. So I actually happen to have a school for unschooling twin flames. And because it's a school nevertheless, we call it a school. But it's unschooling. Yeah. What would that mean? Well, it means that you need to get rid of something. Right? To have revealed to yourself that you are the twin flame of your true twin flame. And then everything starts to fall into place in your life, your diet, your exercise, your mission life, your work, your money, your meditation, your religion. Everything starts to fall into place when you unschooled yourself to reveal that you are the twin flame of your true twin flame, and that through that unschooling process, you step forward as that in practice, in real life. Yeah. Everything falls into place. It's like magic. But also in that falling into place of all life aspect is actually beautiful to have something to, like, how do you say? Have some sort of a measuring tool, or like have some sort of a guidance principle, to have some sort of a help with some proven methods that are just awesome to take in when you do let this aspect of your life fall into place. That is like, oh, this is my diet, and it falls into place better now because of the extra guidance. Oh, this is my money life, and now it falls into place so beautifully inside the harmonious twin flame union consciousness state because of this extra guidance and the theory and whatnot. That's why I also offer in the school 24 yearly themes that are practical, that are daily life, that will play a role in anybody's twin flame romance, right? Inside the harmonious union bubble that you are going to live in the near future when you become a student. So that still makes sense, even though it's actually secretly unschooling that we're doing. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to see where we're going to go with this after what I just said right here, right now. And yeah, where we're going to go with it, I'm curious. Let's research and get into things deeper in the rest of this show. And let me for a moment explain why we have the possibility to become a paid Patreon member on this and all live shows. You can listen to it and enjoy, and that's fine. But if you want the content of these shows to spiritually work healing on your union, you invest in the messages. That's how you support your union healing. Money unlocks it. And let's look at the twin flame consciousness, union consciousness wisdom of the day. Because I have one again. And without further ado, here it is. First, you make your ego healthy, and then you surrender it. Way to your twin flame union. First, you make your ego healthy, and then you surrender it. Way to your twin flame union. Well, that was twice. There you go. It is the way to your twin flame union inside the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union. The romance that's going to start for you there. Beautifully conform what your heart truly desires. That's the way to it. That's the way to it. First, you make your ego healthy, and then you surrender that same ego. So, yeah, that's how it goes. Well, we don't do spiritual bypassing here, okay? So you have to look at your ego personality and where it really hurts. That's where everything starts. And from there on out, you make a connection to the deepest deep of where you are already in union. And that helps you. That is going to help you. It's going to help you to make that ego wound healthy, to heal it. So, for instance, maybe you have suffered a lot of trauma as a young child in the hands of your own parents. This happens more often than we often would like to admit. It's deeply sad, and it can leave scars for the rest of your life. I'm searching for the word. Unless there's the word. I was lost for a moment. Unless. Unless you really look into it. And then it can be healed. Oh, that's, by the way, completely possible in my working practice, because I do help people with a genuine trauma healing tool, and it works magic. I hear that every time from the people that undergo it. And we did some sessions with a client of mine, and she also reported that it was just like magic. It was just so incredibly helpful. And relatively speaking, it seems like it doesn't even cost that much effort. And then suddenly everything shifted for her. She wasn't feeling that fear anymore, that psychological pain anymore. Just disappeared. So, yeah, if you feel that's for you, that's, by the way, totally possible to do that together. I'm completely here for it. That's why I'm on social media. That's why I'm on YouTube for this kind of thing, to help you. So just be reassured about that. That's what it's all about, to help you. And it can be done also for you. And you would need to become my student. And, after a little bit, I might feel that you are indeed a good candidate for the trauma sessions. And I just take you there, and I will give you a trauma session and the next one, and maybe another one, and a couple, as many as you might need. And it will be perfect for you. Perfect, because it is guided through the Christ Masters that are on earth right now, and then executed by me. And there's so much healing in and around you to aid you in that. It's just going to be a very relieving experience for you. So that's totally possible. It is totally possible to heal you, for instance, through such a trauma session, into the healed version of your ego personality problem. And you will, for instance, when you do such a trauma session, quickly experience that. You're suddenly not anxious anymore. You're suddenly not fearful anymore. You're suddenly not all the time thinking about these awful memories anymore, unconsciously, sucking you dry of energy. And so you have a lot more energy for your normal daily functioning, and it's just wonderful. So you can become a healthier ego. And many people first need that because, again, this is how this part that I wanted to talk about started. We don't do spiritual bypassing here. Many people need something to even emancipate themselves from their wounds, their problems that bug them in life, you know, from their unhealthy ego patterns. And then they become healthy ego patterns. And, that's something beautiful. It's all about a relationship when you step into the twin flame union world, right? You want to have a relationship. Do you think that's going to work out great if you're completely stumped in your ego development? Not really, is it? So there is a point in bringing you towards a little bit of a healing inside of that. And then you will become ready to let it go. Because that is where the real truth is coming up. And it might sound interesting, but once you have done that experience in a healthy way inside of you, where the wound was, it was unhealthy. And for instance, you were not able to make a certain actually organic psychological development as a child fully rounded. You were not able to make that fully rounded because of some trauma, some wounding, some way that was withheld to you to fully experience that in maybe like the appropriate time when you were growing up, for a multitude of reasons that can be so. Very many people have something like this. So that you can now redo that and like go to the healthy version of that. Go to the version of you that is like, oh, but now I did fulfill that developmental part in my psychology that is actually just a normal healthy element of a normal healthy psychology. And now I did fulfill it. Now I don't feel extraordinarily crazily anxious anymore for going outside to the shop to do my grocery shopping, or to, I don't know, talk to strangers in public life, or, well, name it. And you just lose that crazy anxiety, for instance. And you can now experience that from a healthy standpoint. Very many people need to do that. So then you have a healthier ego. And you're already going in the direction of true twin flame union. But you can't, with that healed, you can't yet go to the twin flame union. Now you have it healed. Now you feel already so much better. But now comes the crucial part. Now you're going to be asked to let that ego fall away completely, because that is the spiritual part of that development that is fit for the twin flame union development that you are asking me for. So we don't do spiritual bypassing. You need the healing in your psychology to then be able to leave that ego personality of the psychology behind, so that the heaven opens to the even bigger light of the twin flame union that is from the true twin flame, and it is in harmony. Hence, harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state. So that's what happens there. That door towards heaven will open, and a much bigger light than you ever might have guessed was there is there. And you are just taken in by that, and you experience this wonderful romance with the true twin flame. And that can't be reached by egos. We've talked about that before. But that doesn't mean that we're going to let you enter the gates of heaven with a sick ego, because that will give an awful experience with your twin flame. That will also like throw you out of the heaven's gate very quickly as well. Most assuredly, because it is just not compatible with being a healthy ego and then being in the process of letting that ego dissipate completely, which is what happens inside that heaven gate with your harmonious twin flame union consciousness state, in being together physically with the twin flame, building that romance and that life together that you desire. So maybe you had never thought about it like that, but I think that is a sane way to see it. That's what happens when you do the correct twin flame inner work. That's what happens with students that come study with me. But they maybe won't necessarily understand that that these are like the phases that they move through, and they don't maybe also necessarily need it, because I will guide them through these phases, right? So it is also very difficult to guide yourself through. It's actually impossible to guide yourself through this, because the ego can't guide the ego to that deeper place that you need to go through. The ego can't guide the ego to go through the letting go of the ego phase of it all. The ego can hardly guide itself through the phase of, I'm going to heal my ego towards a healthy ego. That's actually already like not doable for the ego towards the ego. You need that bigger thing of the heaven light already to be able to do that. That's why that is also guided by the teacher. That's why I'm here, right? That's how that works. But it is then, looking back, interesting to see that it goes like that, let's say from my perspective, or from looking back also in my own journey. So don't think that I don't know this because I haven't experienced it. And I'm saying that you are all these sad little creatures with all your wounds and whatnot. Well, that's just nonsense on stilts, because I have experienced all these phases, very deep, very long, very expensive. That's why I'm here. That's how I came here. Okay. That's how I came to be a teacher of true twin flame union, because I have experienced all these nasty things, all these difficult things, all these phases that you can't do alone, etc., etc. So I know I have also recently been talking about this phenomenon of, like, maybe you have the wound of having been narcissistically abused as a child and or as a grown-up by a relationship you had. And often it's both when you have something in that direction. And I was talking in the video I published at this time, October 1st, 2025, that was recently on my channel, And I talked in that also about the essay of the psychotherapist Andre Green, and how it actually makes so much sense to talk about that. When you have that, you are actually at -1. And that's the same with what we're talking now about, like with an unhealthy ego, or like an ego wound. You're at -1 instead of 0, and then growing towards 1 where you have a healthy ego, where your wounds are healed, where you have a self that is just healthy, self-conscious, having a psychology that is developed enough to be a mature adult. And that's 1, but you're not at 0. That's like you feel pretty much sad, or like not self-assured, or like hurt, or like whatever it is, anxious. That's like 0. But that's not for people that have a genuine narcissistic abuse wound. They're often at -1. They're at minus. They don't even exist. Their psychology doesn't even exist. Their autonomous psychology doesn't exist. They're still inside the mother-child enmeshment. So there is no self. So we talked a little bit about that in that video. And I thought that was so interesting, because this also refers to that again. Like, for the narcissistic abuse wound person, this is, maybe like a little bit extra difficult, but it certainly is doable, and maybe it helps when I explain that to you in this sort of way. But then, and I was talking about that whole thing in that video relative to the key exercise. Like, you can't, what I said was, you can't even do step 1 of the necessary twin flame inner work exercise key. You can't even do step 1 when you're at -1 in that phenomenon of being a narc victim, because you don't have a self, and you need to have a self to be able to do even step 1 of the twin flame inner work tool. So you need to be able to sort of go at least to 0, and better to 1, to even allow yourself to answer the question that is step 1, because otherwise you will just not be able to answer that question genuinely, because you don't have a self. So you don't know what you're feeling. You're denying what you're feeling. In other words, you are numbed out, right? You're so far repressing everything that you have no contact with that stuff. And well, that doesn't work. Okay, so I had that again. So I know I'm not talking about theory here. I talk from practice. So that was that whole video. And then I was like, yeah, that was so interesting. But that whole story was like, that is all like before you even start to go deeper in the twin flame inner work. Maybe it's like, wow, Petra, that was a beautiful revelatory video. And I hope that it works like that for you, because sometimes a little bit of insight in such things can just do a lot. So I hope that worked. Let me know with a comment. And I would be very happy if that worked a little bit for you. But here's the thing. That was still only the preface before you're going to go deeper with the twin flame inner work for real. And at the end of the day, you need to step away from the ego itself. And that remains the same. Narcissistic abuse victim, anxious person, doesn't matter what it is. You need to let go of that completely. For the narcissistic abuse victim also means that you need to let go completely of that identity of the victim, who you are in that. And you even need to let go of, eventually, of the like healthy step you made there for yourself, which could be very valuable for you, that you did that. You made the healthy step, you went to 1. And then you need to let go of that whole story of the complete ego. And then you are taken into the light of the heaven place where twin flames live. But we're not going to do it for less. We're not going to do it for less. We are going to do it with the the wounded ego that we love and the healed ego that we love, and then we let go of the ego and we love that fact too. We're going to do it with the whole shebang. So that's the way to twin flame union. And yeah, you do that over and over, time and again, and you just take a subscription to that movement, and that is the way to your twin flame union. And I hope that helped. Let's make another step in our episode today to the ACIM lesson. A Course in Miracles always guides us to where union consciousness is in the way that the Christ Masters on earth right now to share with you the possibility to be early in your journey in the harmonious twin flame union consciousness state. And you can just take that opportunity right now, because those Christ Masters are on earth right now, and they also communicate via me. They have pointed out that the book A Course in Miracles was channeled in the 1960s and 70s for showing you how they would say what a good way is to go to union consciousness. So that's why you can also, when you start to work with me on the side, also do ACIM, A Course in Miracles, if you want to. There's a lot of theory in it, and there's also a lesson of the day. And that's the one we're going to read today. 274 is the number, and this is the lesson. Today belongs to love. Let me not fear. Father, today I would let all things be as you created them, and give your Son the honor due his sinlessness, the love of brother to his brother and his friend. Through this I am redeemed. Through this as well the truth will enter where illusions were. Light will replace all darkness, and your Son will know he is as you created him. A special blessing comes to us today from him who is our Father. Give this day to him. And there will be no fear today, because the day is given unto love. Today belongs to love. Let me not fear, was the title. The complete lesson will be in the show notes. And show notes are always on Patreon, about which I already talked a little bit in the beginning. So you can become a member there, right? It's a separate website. And I give more and more value there at this moment as well. I'm making a series of secret videos on my Patreon in which I make reviews about what other people have said about twin flames, which is kind of juicy and interesting. So go over there to have a look. I think I just loved the ACIM lesson. It just felt so close to my heart to speak about the Father. And it really felt like my Father is with me there. Father, today I would let all things be as you created them. And so respectful, my relationship with the Father in the heart feels so respectful. And I also love the Father, which is like the Divine Father. And what I like about that is that it's, of course, also pointing out the Divine Masculine Son. And that is, of course, in specific for me, the true twin flame, just like that is for you. If you are divine feminine, is what I mean. Maybe you are yourself the divine masculine, right? And that would also be perfect, of course. But yeah. And it feels so beautiful to have respect and a respectful heart relationship with the true twin flame of the other divine gender, whichever you have and whichever they have. And it really has this feeling of, well, relating, that like relating starts with God. Relating starts with respect, and respect has everything to do with God. That you feel that that's where your heart taps into. And then you automatically tap into the respect for your own twin flame as well. And that works so well because wouldn't you want to be respected, right? The twin flame is one big mirror. It's the most divine and intimate and blatantly screaming at you mirror that there is. And that's just beautiful. It's just amazing. It is an opportunity to go deep and to be cleansed and to feel the most divine love reflected. Yeah. So the advice is, of course, always to feel that for yourself so that that will also be mirrored back to you, you see? So in that sense, there's no love outside of your heart's experience of God. But if there is anything outside of yourself, then it is the true twin flame that is the ultimate, biggest reflector of that to return that love to you. So there's also your opportunity to do that as beautifully as you can inside yourself so that you heal the whole situation between the two of you. And that's where your power is. You do have the power to change anything in your twin flame relationship because you can choose what you feel in the heart. And that will be reflected back to you. And maybe you say, oh no, I don't believe that because my twin flame is reflecting back such devastatingly sad behavior. It makes me so sad. Or it makes me so angry. What they are doing, you have no idea, Petra. There is the invitation to turn it around. And the true twin flame inner work has a turnaround inside of that for this reason only. And that is that by turning it around, you do step in the opportunity to heal whatever that touches inside of you to completion in God's love. And then you will create a situation with them from the heart out that they will mirror back to you love and respect. That's a law. It's a universal law. It has never not worked. All my clients have made that work. Yeah. That's the secret. It really is. And that's the whole secret. And we can share in that together. When you come to the school, because, we are going to talk in a little bit more about the unschooling of twin flames. And the point is, of course, that I have a school with a school year program for you to be able to unschool yourself, because that's the necessary thing that needs to happen. And it needs to happen in a place. So what would I call that place? Well, I just decided that it's a school. Anyway, even though unschooling happens inside of it. And yeah, here's the thing. It will open again real soon. We will open the doors again for one more round. And this is going to be a crucial one for you to step into. You need to step into it now because you will be also educated to become a coach so that you step into your twin flame mission and purpose in the near future also. And I'm going to give that to you without charging extra. And this is just going to be the last time that I will be opening this door. So you need to step in now so that we can go to the future together, and you can start to make money as a twin flame coach yourself soon as well. And I'll just bring you to your true twin flame union in harmony. Yeah. Door opens in a couple of weeks already. Wow. So, yeah. Look already in your schedule and in your finances to see how to make that possible, because this is just going to be your ultimate opportunity. Let's see, let's move on, because we talked about ACIM and then we always talk about one of my books, because why not? I opened the book and what came out was a segment, and we're gonna read it together in the light of unschooling twin flames. And it's going to be called, this section is called The Arts and Expressions. Ever since the beginning of social human development, people have created art. Although it may not have been the standard definition we attach to this word nowadays. The word art. The creation of things that are not for primary physical survival, but as an expression of or for something that somehow surpasses that necessity and serves another goal, that of the soul and its source. In the beginning, there were not separately distinguishable art forms as we tend to see them nowadays in the Western world. But there was a mixed bag of outings that was expressed closely related to daily life work, such as sung words accompanied by physical movement that served to make work on the land easier to bear. Nowadays, we tend to couple a couple of very refined art forms, roughly devised as music, writing, visual arts, performance. The similarities with the senses stand out, and this is true. Because when you look at it from that perspective, you get this: seeing with the eyes, plus hearing with the ears, plus speaking with the tongue, plus moving with the body, is co-creation. And in art forms, that is visual art, plus music, plus literature, plus performance, is creation. In the action of making and also of enjoying the beauty of art as a consumer, these art forms can trace one back to the senses and to life lessons closely related to it, namely to open the senses to let the influence of the soul, in other words, of energy, in one's perception. This is another way of being exposed to the transformation and thus personal and spiritual development. Also, to see how they are connected to present-day professional skills and communication, deepening the quality of professional communication. Right, so that was from my book, Twin Flames, Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love, from page 100. Cool, you can buy it on Amazon, and it will be sent to you wherever you live on the world. I think that we have this awesome opportunity nowadays, right? I can just write a book and you just buy it and it's sent to you. I mean, wow. Love it, love it, love it. The arts and expressions. So this was like a small segment of the book in which I explained a couple of, let's say, perspectives on how can we use some forms of energy kind of healing for this whole soul development that twin flames go through, to their harmonious twin flame union consciousness state to then build their life. So how can we look at a couple of perspectives on, well, that healing that we talked about before? And one of them is, well, maybe you want to do some sort of energy healing with, the eventual, like the vibration of that true harmonious twin flame union that you will eventually come out in. And, like, let that flow into energy and then do some energy work. Okay. But maybe also this idea, the arts and expressions. Why not use your sense of, well, the senses? I can hear, I can see, I can speak, etc. As a way to say, yeah, do I actually let myself be moved by the senses in the light of source? Or do I let that be moved in the light of ego? And to turn towards source in them will give that healing that you're looking for. But how to do something with that? Well, maybe we are going to work a little bit with sound and music, with the senses of hearing, and then the sound and the music and whatnot, the songs, and that's an art form. So that's how you can see that art can be an expression that is really having a role into this healing. So this is one of the approaches that I work with in the school and that I have developed further. And it also comes from, this is actually a fun thing because this one came up. It comes from the fact that I actually have a lot of experience in teaching in these kinds of topics because I was personally, a long time ago, I can hardly remember that, educated as an art historian. And for instance, I have work experience in museums, in art museums. I was like teaching children about how to look at art, but also children of all ages, until the age of 106. So yeah, that was awesome. Just one of the experiences that I had. I have many more work experiences, and a lot of them were in creative fields and whatnot, or in thinking about creative fields and whatnot. Anyway, so that's in the past, but it's fun because that was me being in a sort of a role in the past where I was really like the teacher, with children and whatnot, and grown-ups, and I was still the teacher. And now we're talking about unschooling. So that's a lot of fun, That was a lot of unschooling as well, because, to look at art, for instance, in an art museum, I would always feel like I would need to loosen people up about what they have as like judgments about museums and art up front already, and to loosen them up out of that so that they can actually start to absorb some aspects of looking at art that are spontaneous and valuable to them personally in the moment. And yeah, that was always very beautiful and valuable. So that's one aspect of the seeing, hearing, speaking, moving is co-creation, or visual art plus music plus literature plus performance is creation formula that I created back then. And I also tried to already, that's like 15 years ago, I tried to already, build this whole school with this idea primarily. And I tried to fund that by fundraising, and that didn't really work because people didn't understand it, primarily because it was not really understood yet that where I actually was coming from, because I was already at that time actually coming from, the soul. And then within that specifically also like, but we need to go to twin flame union, right? Within that as well. So that's what this all was geared towards. And nobody understood that at all at that time. And even without that, it was not ripened yet or whatever. So that project was a little bit stranded there. But then at the same token, it's just, going into the school right now, in the unschooling school for twin flames right now. Twin flame abundance now. Here it is for you. We open the door once more on November the 1st. And this is just going to be one of the 24 topics inside of it, and one of the ways through which you can free yourself of wounds and of bounds and become free in your twin flame union vibration. That is the real vibration that you're looking for, because it belongs to your harmonious union in God. And this is just one of the things that you will see there. A school does always remind you of, well, there's a curriculum, there's lessons, there's a way through which restructure some topic so that you can learn something about it. And so this is like part of the curriculum to well, actually let you feel that in yourself as well, very much like, okay, we are going to look at what do you experience in your senses and where is your preference, and how can you individually attune that much more to your soul's vibration. And do you like to experiment with some art form inside of that preference of yours? And does that free you up more? Feel it in your heart. Does that free you up to experience this vibration of God more? And it's all like, also like, well, question mark, do you experience it and then answer for yourself. So in that sense, you don't need to be too afraid of like the curriculum in Petra's Twin Flame School. Oh my God, because I don't want that. I don't want to learn new things. I just want to be with my true twin flame. Yeah, so we need to find ways to guide you in the process of finding that vibration in yourself where you will be with your true twin flame. And there will be invitations to make you find that vibration where you will be together with your twin flame. And these invitations will need to have some sort of form. The senses and the arts and the expressions are just one of the forms that you can find yourself in. You don't need to have anything with this. There are 23 other ones, plus the weekly coaching in which it will be just direct. That is going to be the actual thing that will guide you from week to week to week forward towards your twin flame union. That's what we're going to do primarily when you step into the opportunity of coming to twin flame abundance now. But I did like that it came forward today when I opened the book, because it's such a good example of what a curriculum of a school can bring, and then also explain to you how that is actually unschooling, how that is actually going to ask you to ask yourself, how can you open up how you're hearing things so that you can hear the inner messages of the true twin flame? How can you break down your current perception of what hearing messages is so that you will be able to be open for source guidance directly to your twin flame? So we break something for you so that the fullness can come in. So that's unschooling. So that's why the Twin Flame School is actually a place of unschooling. Wow, so I hope that brought something for you. And let's now for a moment look at, oh, we have one, the union and mission cards, because why not? Okay, that's too much. 3 cards is too much. Let's shuffle again. I saw one. Now I saw this one, so let's take it. Here we are from the Acknowledger series, the silver one, the silver series, Acknowledger, Affirmer. Why? C 1.3. Because experienced value is worth it. To get the turning point to go to acknowledged value. And we see the heart with the eternal symbol. And inside of that is the heart with the eternal symbol. And inside of that is the heart with the eternal symbol. And within that, etc., etc. Because experienced value is worth it to get the turning point to go to the acknowledged value. Okay, so let me have a look inside the booklet for card C 1.3. I'm going to read to you the union version, and there's also a mission version of this message, and you can read that in the show notes published on Patreon after the show is over. The title of this card's description in the booklet is "The Gold is Being Born." When you feel what your soul says, you get the sense of that it is eternal. It is timeless and always continues at the background of things, whether you are before, in the middle, or after your life. It is the value of your spiritual heart, which physically is the backside of your heart, your upper back. This is a value that is still very much uncommon in people. It is customary to keep that area closed. When you dare to let the spark of light in there, you will see that you become more present. Also in your belly, you feel more at ease with yourself, and that will then portray more outwardly as well. You feel you are worth to exist as a human being because you are from divine heritage. Because the universal light will always support you. Yes, you are worthy. Not as a cheap slogan, but as a lived through reality. Take the time to sit with that truth. Feel how much this is true for you. Everything that has become true, you can pass on to others. You can only take others to the phase you are in. Feeling through where you stand yourself is thus a great way to check in with your value. That, when you are honest, gives information about what you can give to your twin flame and your union friends. And also what you can pass on, what you cannot pass on yet. Everyone feels the level of honesty eventually in you, so it also does not make sense to be dishonest. In the simplicity of honesty, you will find love that connects all. You love reality, and therefore you can experience the value in that sobered state. This recognition is a sobering that is heard by the sensitive listener and means an intense enrichment of union. The more precise you accept what is, the more the gold will emerge. Right, and the title of the card was "The Gold is Being Born." Alrighty, alrighty. Well, I think that spoke something in your heart, indeed. Unschooling is really what twin flames need, I feel. Unschooling is what twin flames need because they are completely taken into ideas about what love is, ideas about what relationships are, ideas about what God is, ideas about what the divine feminine and the divine masculine are supposed to be, do, and look like, that are not compatible with the actual alive, harmonious twin flame union version of the true twin flames, divine masculine and divine feminine, under God, created at the same instance together as complementary partners in the light of creation. Yes, out of which comes a body born on the world and another body born in the world that forgot that for the most part for a moment, and then they sort of remember, and then they try to find each other again, and then they can build on being together in this realm of physicality with consciously remembering that they are dead. And how powerful is that? It is so powerful. It is so powerful. It is like an exponential growth of healing energy, love, soul money, mission capacity to pass on whatever they have. It is having such an enormous potential of abundance, of sharing, of healing, of growth, of being fully yourself, of allowing others to be fully themselves. It's the ultimate way of existing. It's like you in the form of who you are as a god and a goddess, as a king and queen at the same time. No joke. That's really what that is. Unschooling is necessary because you think that love is what you were shown when you grew up, how love was experienced in your school, in your family, in your society. And that was maybe not even love at all. It was not with your twin flame or their twin flame. And it was not love. Maybe it was just a practical way of economic living. Maybe it was just a convenient way of social interaction. Maybe it was just psychologically sick and it was actually abuse. Maybe it was relatively well meant under maybe like laws of the local customs combined with the local religious order, something like that. But it was not with a twin flame. It was not the twin flame in harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state. It was not in the directness of union consciousness, God incarnate in the physicality of life. It was not honoring the original creation of you and your true twin flame, how you were created in the light in the beginning of time, at the same time, from the same beam of light. It was not honoring that. It was not unconditional divine love in and around that. It was not finding that back on the earth in the physicality. It was not finding that consciousness state in which that is complete and sure and harmonious and joyful and sustainable, the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union, which maybe also wasn't there yet, right? That's a relatively recent development that is really in the world. We live now in 2025, right? So that's maybe like 10 years or so. So most of us will need to go through unschooling almost exclusively to let go of what harmonious twin flame union is not, to let go of what we thought it maybe was, to let go of what is placed in our unconscious mind, you understand, about what love is and what relationship is and what God is and what you are supposed to do in life and how that is supposed to feel, because your unconscious is completely filled up with all these things that your ancestors thought, that your culture thinks, that the people you were educated with as a child also believe, etc. And you're not even conscious of that. That's what that means. But you're completely filled up with it. You're filled to the rim with all these contents, and they're like pressed down inside of you, and then there's this, it's like topped off by this cork that hardly keeps everything down. But that's all not what harmonious twin flame union is. And that's what you want. And you're like filled to the rim with all these unconscious thoughts and beliefs that are just wrong. And what to think of this? Oh my gosh, I started this new series on my Patreon. You have seen short videos perhaps in September 2025 on my YouTube channel, where I give like little hints of what the actual video on my Patreon, that is like an hour long, a lot of them were an hour, actually was like. And then this was like a 3-minute video with some clips in it to show you what it was a little bit about, so that you are curious to hop over and to hear the entire thing about me reviewing other people talking about twin flames on YouTube and their channel, me reviewing a book that is written about twin flames that you can buy on Amazon. That is one of the most well-known ones about that. Me reviewing a pop song that has the title Twin Flames by a well-known pop artist from America. And oh my gosh, you know, what I'm discussing there, what I'm uncovering there, what other people are saying about twin flames, well, that is certainly in the category of everything you stuffed yourself full of. You stuffed your head and your mind and your brain and your heart and your energy field full of all these ideas about twin flames, of other twin flame channels, of other twin flame books, of which many are complete and utter nonsense. And that's what I talk about on my Patreon in these hours of these videos in September 2025. And it was very painful. It started to be very painful for me, to the degree that I'm really wondering how long I can keep this series up, because it's just hurting. It's just hurting me so much. It does make me understand better why so many people are so confused and so far gone into the completely and utterly wrong direction when they arrive at my place where I teach and where I help people in services and in whatnot, in readings and in the school and whatnot. In the Twin Flame Abundance Now year group course that started up. It does make me understand it better, and that's also somehow good. And I mean, I have compassion. I certainly do. But it also makes it clear how incredibly nuts it is and how incredibly ingrained this nonsense is that you're thinking about twin flames, and how incredibly wrong that is, and also how incredibly painful that is. I felt literally sick a couple days ago when I did the last one. I was not making a joke at the end of the video when I said, listen, I need some time to cuddle with my teddy bear, and we're going to stop this right here. We're going to cut this video off because this is not doable for me anymore. And I was not making a joke. It just feels sick. I had such a headache and I needed to quit and go to the kitchen, sit a little bit and then cook and try to some sort of get rid of it, because it just felt ugly, dirty. Anyway, and I was very disappointed by that too, because I hoped that something would come out of that, watching this channel, 3 videos of it, that I might say something about for your edutainment that would also be some sort of positive, but that was absolutely not the case. And it really hurt me, because I wanted to say something positive. So here's the thing. You have stuffed yourself full of this stuff. That's what you have been doing. I know that you have, because you're watching YouTube videos on twin flames all the time. And you think that they're indiscriminate. You think that it doesn't matter that you listen to them. You think that it's okay because it's about twin flames after all. Not understanding that the majority of people have no freaking clue what they're talking about, even though they talk about the word twin flames. I find that beyond painful, because I try to genuinely help you to the real thing, not to the nonsense thing. And that's often light years apart. And many people don't understand that is genuinely light years apart. To the degree that what these other people say about twin flames it's not about twin flames even. Okay, so here's the thing. You've stuffed yourself full of this shit, and you're full of all of this. You're full of wrong twin flame teachings. You're full of what society taught you about love and relationships and marriage, what your parents abused you with and did as if that was relationship and love and marriage. And it's all wrong. So, but here's the thing. You can't do anything with yourself like that. You need unschooling. You don't necessarily need more things, although I do have the truth for you, and I share it generously in my school, in the year group course Twin Flame Abundance Now, that opens its doors again on November 1st for the very last time. So make sure you're part of it. So it's just so sad. It's so sad. It's so sad. You're so full of all these things. And even though I share the truth with you, also in long stories, but then the true version, right? A lot of the time, You don't even have space to read it. You don't even have place in your heart to take it in. You genuinely haven't, because you're so stuffed full of this shit. So what needs to happen is you need unschooling. You need to get the cork off. And you need to let go of all that stuff. And you need to say goodbye to it. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. There it flows, it goes away. And then, maybe then, you start to become open for 1 millimeter of the true twin flame thing, the true twin flame truth, true twin flame love, source love in harmonious twin flame union. And then that one drop will help you when it comes into you, will help you already so deeply. You will feel that even one drop let in truthfully already does literal miracles for you. We've seen it time and again with every student I had, miracles before our eyes. And then you only uncorked yourself for one drop and got one drop in, and it did some work in your heart. And you moved light years towards your true twin flame. Let alone when you let all of it out of your heart, out of your head, out of your unconscious, so that there will be more space for the truth and the true vibration of harmonious twin flame union. Wow, what will happen then? Oh, what will happen then is just going to be indescribably beautiful. You will know it, you will feel it. It's not this neutral space so I can feel love for my twin flame in neutrality. No, dude. It means divine love is overflowing you from the inside out, awakening the zest to live life. Dude, you will know the difference. You're invited to come taste that when you come study with us. Yeah. Do it. You won't regret it. I choose now to explore the most complete depths of my being. I surrender my mind completely to God, that He may bring it into perfect harmony with His. I invite God now into my very core, that He may make it right, returning it perfectly to its state of eternal wholeness. I trust in the power of divine love. I choose to see the truth that it is universally accepted by all. At the core of every child of God, including me, we're all one with our twin flames and God. It is safe for me to open completely to love now. My love is not elusive unless you command it so. But don't worry, you could not choose against love itself, because you are love itself, manifest as you eternally. If you command it to leave, love does not leave, because it cannot possibly leave, but you leave love by the power of your command. And by that same power, you can command yourself to return to love. And it is so, revealing to you that love never left. It is safe to let go. It is safe to relax into love's eternal presence. Love is calling you home, and I'll be there waiting. I have always been here with you, and I always will be. Your next step. Don't forget to actually start the process and jump on the team. Actively come to our community, start doing the correct inner work, and ask the support you deserve through our services, so that we can start a relationship that will lead you to harmonious union and beyond. When you're not in a relationship, you're not on the team, and you can't expect the results I'm speaking of and in fact guaranteeing. Currently, we are going towards the opening of the door once more to Twin Flame Group Year course, Twin Flame Abundance Now, a new version, especially for those that want to become a union coach and make their own money. I am looking for max 6 people to step into this abundant opportunity, and the door opens on November the 1st. You can already have a look on the launch page of creativeuniverse.earth/abundance now launch. The show notes. You can, however, support this ongoing live Twin Flame news as such. Make it possible as co-creator. Without your participation and financial gifts, I cannot do anything because we need to have an energetic and verbal visual exchange for things to make sense and to know what I need to talk about for you. And also we're on Earth, and that necessarily always means that we work with money as a means to make sacred content actually physically flow. Therefore, I post the show notes in Patreon. Come over and enjoy. Have influence on the broadcasts. Don't miss out on the behind-the-scenes experience. Patreon.com/PEJ at Creative Universe. And I even also started to post blogs there for Twin Flames. October's Patreon subscriber action is the Master's reading wants to be taken up by you at this time. A very special service by the Christ Masters of this new Twin Flame time. I'll be able to grant you a piece of invaluable inner work advice for your journey. Info is at creativeuniverse.earth/reading. Normal price is €88. Special October Patreon price is €44 only. Please let me personally know and I'll give you a pay link. I am Petra in the consciousness state of harmonious Twin Flame union since March 2020. Worked with the new Christ Masters on Earth right now to roll this consciousness state out so everyone can enjoy the abundant life with their true Twin Flame soon enough. After going in with me right here, don't search any further. You reached what you were looking for. Om. Amen.